Hello, beautiful souls. Your soul assignment this month is to honor your sensitivity. Ooh, and this might feel like a big one for you, honoring your sensitivity. It might feel quite a vulnerable step for you. But consider that your sensitivity is your body's innate intelligence. It's your body's wisdom. It allows you to attune to the frequencies around you and in others and really honor what feels right and true for you. And I mean, if we consider our sensitivity really is that thing that allows us to live a life where we thrive, where we make choices that are right for us, not just giving our power away to others. And as I say, there might be a vulnerability in this due to our past experiences. And chances are, if you're watching this channel, this video, that you may have grown up and been the sensitive one in your family. Okay, and chances are that wasn't truly honored, and it can be scary to try and really own that, because it can, when we're not honored in our sensitivity, it can set up a belief that that part of us is not lovable, is not loved, and will never be loved. However, our very rejection of that part of us is ultimately the thing that keeps us unsafe. So by really honoring your sensitivity, you're allowing yourself to attune to the deeper frequencies of what's right to you. That sensitivity really is a gift. And if it is something that you've shut down over your life, I really hope at this time that you can have the courage. And this month, as I say, is a really great opportunity to honor your sensitivity and see how it can be an incredible guiding force in your life. And especially right now during Cancer season. So Cancer is really that sensitive, that intuitive, that receptive, that very feminine quality. And I guess our sensitivity, part of our sensitivity, and a really big part of it, is allowing those qualities to come to the surface, allowing us to be receptive, one, to the frequencies, but also, it might be about allowing us to be supported, that kind of thing. But intuitively, that's where we can tune in. When we allow that sensitivity to be heightened, we can tune into what is safe and right for us. And Cancer energies are all about safety and comfort. And if things don't feel safe and secure, they can retreat into their little shell. And it's that polarity at the moment. What's also really highlighted, because it's a full moon, is that we have a bit of a magnification on the Capricorn qualities, which is really around work, determination, loyalty. And so this is where this push and pull can come in, that I want comfort, safety, security. These are my needs, versus I also have this loyalty, this responsibility, and this drive and determination to create a secure foundation through work. And sometimes these needs can be very opposite. But really, this is a time, especially for any of you in the Southern Hemisphere, and actually I'm curious to know how many of I know quite a few people are in the Southern Hemisphere because they're clients, friends, random people that have just jumped on. But basically, I'm curious if you're in the Southern or Northern Hemisphere, so I can perhaps tailor these in the future. But those of us that are in the Southern Hemisphere, I mean, we're really at that precipice of darkness right now. We've just passed through the solstice. So we're at our darkest time of year. And honestly, it's this time of the year that if we don't really attune and heighten our sensitivity, that we'll lose this kind of portal, this window of opportunity to up our sensitivity for the rest of the year. And it's like, soon we're going to have a lot more action in our life. That's what naturally happens when the days start getting longer. You might find it's still a bit action-packed at the moment. I mean, I'm having to really make a very conscious choice to not say yes to everything and to actually pull back on things. And I'm really working on that place of stillness, finding stillness at the moment. And so when that momentum really peaks, starts peaking and picking up again soon, if we haven't fine-tuned our sensitivity, then we're going to be in the flurry of energy. And we're not going to be so highly attuned to those frequencies. And as I say, it's this sensitivity to these subtle frequencies that allows us to make the choices that are right for us. It allows us to really honor our needs, to get out of the mind stuff, the stories from last month we talked about, the stories that we tell ourselves about our obligations, expectations, that kind of thing. And so rather than making our choices just in that automated way from those stories, if we're really attuned to our needs in a very sensitive way and attuned to the frequencies, then we're going to start making a choice that feels in greater alignment for us. And we have a couple of other big factors happening at the moment astrologically. We've got Chiron has entered into Taurus, and it'll be in Taurus for the next 3 months, but it's really the beginning of an 8-year cycle in Taurus. And we have a retrograde period from September to April back into Aries. But if we consider this is the beginning of a new cycle of Chiron, and Chiron being the wounded healer, is going to start shifting perhaps, or potentially creating some healing crises or some experiences that bring up the healing for us around our sense of self-worth and what we value. And we also have Jupiter going into Leo the same day as the full moon, I believe. And so Jupiter expands things. And Leo, if we consider it, it's the sun, it's creativity, it's standing in our power. So with these new phases, we have the opportunity to stand in our power, but we're also going to be faced with that reflection of our self-worth. Are we worthy? Are we deserving of this? So becoming highly attuned and sensitive, really honoring that part of you, not shutting down your sensitivity due to vulnerability or fear, really remaining, I don't like the word alert, but let's say aware of all that's going on around you, which can sometimes feel overwhelming, but this is from a more subtle, as I say, frequency level, because it's the frequency that doesn't lie. It's like when we're in our survival response, we'll use those automated kind of behaviors and patterns that we've created, those old stories about what's right, like safe or right for us, what's going to keep us safe, what's going to avoid pain or gain love. But it's like if we're actually tuning back into our really heightened sense of sensitivity, it's an opportunity to break some of those patterns and not just be in that unconscious reactive behavior. We can start to make new choices that may actually lead us in a slightly different direction, or may open us up to something more than what we would have allowed ourselves previously, which, it's time for doing stuff differently right now. This is really what this big shift in humanity is doing. I mean, we're 7 months away from this official changing point in 2027 in February into the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And this is where our sensitivity is really needed. So it's a good time to practice right now to really, as I say, I keep saying it many times, the frequency, but if you take nothing else away, take away frequency is key right now. And it's really when we can attune to those frequencies, that they don't lie. This lies, this doesn't lie. So, and I guess with Chiron into Taurus, we're really going to have to start honouring our body's wisdom a lot more. Taurus is that fixed earth, it's our body, it's the earth, it's the wisdom of the earth. So that includes the frequencies of the earth, it includes the frequencies of our body, but it includes our body's wisdom. Is my body opening to this, or is it contracting? The body doesn't lie. This one can get in the way all the time, and it's time to really start breaking down these old systems that live in here so that we can thrive. Because there's going to be a lot of changes collectively, globally, in the world. And it's important to know that actually with all the changes going on, that you are safe. You don't need to be driven by fear. You don't need to grasp and hold on to old patterns and old things that are actually no good for you, no longer any good for you. They might have been once upon a time, but they don't serve you. It only serves your sense of security. And so honouring your sensitivity allows you to stand in your strength, in your power, knowing that you're going to make the choices that are right for you, regardless of what is going on around you. So I've got a really simple tool for you this month, and we're going to combine it with an acupoint on the large intestine meridian. And the large intestine, if we consider in Chinese medicine, is the place where we release what we no longer need. So we take in our nutrients and then we release our waste. And I guess it's that thing where we really need to honour what we're done with, what no longer serves us, what has finished with this chapter, so that we can actually really honour our next chapter, whatever we're stepping into. And sometimes being halfway through the year is a really beautiful time as a reflection point as well. Did you set an intention at the beginning of the year, and are you on track to that intention? And don't get too rigid about your intentions, because sometimes I believe that our intentions are not necessarily to be completely fulfilled. Our intention is, some people do resolutions. I think resolutions are a bit more rigid like that, but it's like, if we set an intention, it gives us a pathway, a guide map, a road, if you like, a direction to head in. So I believe it's not so much about attaining that intention. It's about, if you're living true to that intention throughout the year, then you're going to be inviting in all these other beautiful experiences to help you get the most out of the lessons that you're calling in. And sometimes it's not even about the destination. It is about that journey on the way. So there is great value in intentions. And I guess right now is a really beautiful time to perhaps see what is no longer serving you, if you have made an intention, what you can let go of, so that you can open to something new. And so the acupoint we're working on is large intestine 20. So it just sits next to the nostril here in that little valley just above the lips, and you can give a little tap of that here. And I invite you to keep tapping perhaps while I'm talking, because I'm not going to talk while it's a bit of an awkward one for me. But the other thing to bring in, so you can do this daily at night, to let go of your day, or if you've got an experience that you have and perhaps there's, you're triggered in some way, a fear or a judgment or just a feeling that, it feels a bit vulnerable, then you can do that for yourself, just to support that letting go of whatever's going on, that release. But alongside that, the daily practice, the moment-to-moment practice I really invite in for you is the beauty way, is to notice the beauty in everything. And it's simple, it sounds simple, it's a little bit like a gratitude practice, but it's a little bit different as well. It's more about being present with what is. And rather than doing that mind thing and that really bad human habit thing that we have of perhaps judging something, of seeing the worst in something or someone, or expecting the worst, it comes from our fears, it comes from our judgments, and our judgments from self and from others. But to actually see the beauty, to really just take a moment and do it right now, wherever you are. Perhaps you're driving, perhaps you're in your home, but just take a moment to really acknowledge something beautiful around you or in your life right now. And really just kind of open your heart to that beauty, whatever that beauty is. It could simply be a tree. It could be a beautiful, I've got a beautiful peacock feather over here and the colours in it is absolutely magnificent, nature's quite incredible. And if we can just open our blinkers a little bit more to see the beauty in it all, to be present with the beauty. And this is where honouring our sensitivity really allows us to open to the beauty. Because when we shut down something like that, we're not just shutting down, our sensitivity to the challenging or negative feelings, we're shutting down our sensitivity to joy and love and all those beautiful feelings that are actually readily available to us. But unfortunately, we try and numb. There's some pain in our sensitivity because it hasn't been honoured by others. And right now, this month, you're being called to honour your sensitivity, to set a new way of being. so that you can feel the joy again, so that you can feel some of those vulnerabilities too, but you start honoring that sensitivity and others will honor it in you as well. Not only that, remember, you're going to awaken to those more subtle frequencies that allows you to make the choices that guide you to where you really want to go. So this point, large intestine 20, the beauty way and honoring your sensitivity will bring you so much more than you can imagine this month. I wish you so many blessings, and let me know what you are finding beauty in right now.